Top 10 Upcoming Horror Games of 2016. At number 10 we have Raindrop, an upcoming horror game to be released in 2016 for PC exclusive. Raindrop is a surreal environment-driven first-person survival game that includes fully explorable levels with intuitive complex puzzles. Revolving around a horror-themed storyline, the chilling and breathtaking atmospheres will keep you inching around each corner while uncovering the hidden truth behind the complex and its inhabitants. Scavenge items to build objects in order to piece together complex puzzles or dangerous death traps, gather hints and schematics to unveil rewards and information, survive both the haunting environment and your own battered sanity. Raindrop is under development by Raindrop Studios, a creative two-man ensemble composed of Nihad Nesupovic and Max Ramirez.
So glad I came here alone. Really.
At number 9 we have Perception, an upcoming horror game to be released in 2016 for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. After months of seeing the place in haunting visions, Cassie Thornton has finally found the real thing, overlooking the ocean in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And now, she's taking the chance to explore it, despite the fact that she's blind. So goes the description for Perception, the Kickstarter project from the Deep End Games. The studio is composed almost entirely of developers who worked on BioShock and BioShock Infinite, including Bill Gardner, the Deep End's founder. He was design director on BioShock, and lead designer on Infinite, both of which garnered critical praise in their own right for their first-person storytelling. With Perception, though, Gardner wants to change how horror games are played. The presence adds a lot to what we're aiming for, Gardner says. You're seeing ghosts, finding audio logs, and we're using the mice and scene to help you piece together what might have happened here throughout the years. But by using the presence, we're adding this persistent threat that is always at the back of your mind. It helps merge the gameplay and the narrative. For as much as the Deep End wants to scare you around the dark corners of this mysterious house, the studio also wants to tell a good story. Amanda Gardner, urban fantasy novelist and Bill's wife, is penning the story that unfolds around Cassie. As with BioShock or Gone Home, another game that influenced the Deep End's first title, Amanda's story will place players at the center of the narrative, and let them figure out the plot themselves. But then again, the Deep End still wants to scare you. As author Stephen King described terror, it's when the lights go out and you feel something behind you, you hear it, you feel its breath against your ear, but when you turn around, there's nothing there. In Perception, there may well be something there.
This place feels different. What the hell?
At number 8 we have Kursk, an upcoming horror adventure and survival game inspired by the Russian submarine disaster that occurred back in 2000. The Kursk was lost along with all its crew when a torpedo exploded on board. According to Jujubee, the game will study the incident from a new angle, using details from the real-life disaster along with fictionalized elements. Kursk will definitely be a game for mature audiences looking for a unique and cinematic experience, writes Michael Stepien, CEO of Jujubee. There is still controversy surrounding the real fate of this Russian submarine, and with our game we hope to raise and answer some questions. Exactly how the adventure and survival elements will work isn't quite clear, but the team says that Kursk will combine first-person action with a heavy focus on a carefully crafted story and an engrossing gameplay. It's a tricky subject for a game, so I hope the team will treat it carefully. 15 years ago isn't that long, after all. I'm not entirely sure that Jujubee wouldn't be better served by coming up with a fictional incident, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now.
In last year, 5 players played.
At number 7 we have Last Year, an upcoming horror game in 2016 which is exclusive for PC. Last Year is a multiplayer survival horror game where 5 players play as a cast of cliché high school characters and must survive against one player that's playing as the killer. It aims to let players live out their slasher fantasies in a world inspired by classic films like Friday the 13th and The Cabin in the Woods. In Last Year you'll experience the nightmare together as you and 5 friends struggle to survive against one player that's playing as the killer. Explore familiar territory based on classic horror movie locations including Camp Silver Lake and East Side High. You'll play the roles of 5 stereotypical high school characters while cooperating to complete objectives and survive.
Has a unique ability, like medic or technician, and each one plays a vital part in helping keep the group alive. Playing as the killer is a completely different experience, and you'll have an array of playable killers to choose from. The element of surprise is the main focus of gameplay. As the killer, you have an ability called Predator Mode, which lets you unspawn and turn invisible if you're not within sight of other players. While invisible, you can move extremely fast to new positions while secretly observing your prey. When you're ready, make the kill. The one who dies first is up to you.
At number 6 we have Call of Cthulhu, an upcoming horror game in 2016 which is available for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. Call of Cthulhu will be based on the old pen and paper role-playing game by the same name, which is in turn based on horror fiction writer H.P. Lovecraft's The Call of Cthulhu short story. Recognized as a true classic, Call of Cthulhu continues to delight players after almost 30 years since its release. We are aiming to continue this tradition and to present our very own contribution to Lovecraftian heritage with a video game. Please welcome the very first production arts that intend to set the right atmosphere for the upcoming Call of Cthulhu. At number 5, we have Dead Island 2, an upcoming horror game in 2016. Dead Island 2 is an upcoming action role-playing survival horror video game developed by German developer Jaeger Development and published by Deep Silver for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It is the sequel to 2011 video game Dead Island and the second major installment in the Dead Island series. The game's main storyline is set several months after the events of Dead Island and Escape Dead Island. Unlike its predecessors, which took place on islands as the title state, Dead Island 2 takes place in locations in California. Dead Island 2 features a new massive world. The game takes place in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and an undisclosed third location in California, unlike the first game which was set on the island of Vinoy off the coast of Papua New Guinea. The game's combat has different mechanics than Dead Island and Dead Island, Riptide, being much more brutal and featuring deadlier, but more fragile zombies. Dead Island 2 also includes several features from its predecessors, such as the Rage system, which gives the player a temporary boost, and the weapon crafting system.
We are all of us anchored to the past, drawn inexorably back into that maelstrom of wistfulness, fear, and regret, with no recourse to escape.
At number 4 we have Dragen, an upcoming horror game in 2016 for PC, Mac, Linux, and next-gen consoles. Dragen is Adventure, a first-person psychological horror called game. Inspired by Scandinavian literature, legends, and fairy tales, along with Norse mythology and the Icelandic sagas, Dragen is set in the 1920s amongst the deep fjords and towering mountains of Norway's awe-inspiring west coast. There the population of an entire remote fishing village has mysteriously disappeared, and it's up to a visiting American nature photographer, botanist, and entomologist to investigate. As players explore the tiny settlement, gathering clues and memories, and unearthing the truth behind a terrible tragedy, they will learn more about the history of the village and its inhabitants. And they will come to see that behind even the most innocent of facades lurks the potential for malice. At number 3 we have Overkill The Walking Dead, an upcoming horror game in 2016. The platforms Overkill's The Walking Dead will be released on are to be announced at a later date. Overkill's The Walking Dead is a co-op first-person shooter with elements of action, role-playing, survival horror and stealth, that invites players to explore the hugely popular The Walking Dead universe, where they will play the role of survivors fending for themselves in a post-apocalyptic world dominated by flesh-eating walkers. At number 2 we have Outlast 2, an upcoming horror game to be released in 2016 for Microsoft Windows, Linux, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. Outlast developer Red Barrels has confirmed that the horror sequel will release on PC and new-gen systems at the same time. Outlast 2 is in development at Red Barrels right now, co-founder Philippe Morin has announced. Outlast 2 is an upcoming first-person survival horror video game, that's currently in development by Red Barrels Games. It is the sequel to Outlast. The game will take place in the same universe as Outlast, but it will feature different characters and a different setting. At number 1 we have Routine, an upcoming best horror game to be released in 2016 for PC and PS4. Routine is a first-person horror exploration game set on an abandoned moon base. Your job is to find enough data to uncover the truth behind the strange disappearance of everyone stationed on the Lunar Research Station. It is one of the most anticipated horror game of 2016. I hope you all like my video, and this is my second video to my channel, and please subscribe to join the Gamers Line community, and if you have any opinion about the video, comment it down, and see ya in my next video.